Yo, yo, yo. What's going on, my people? It's your boy Kush, and things are getting lit, literally, in Kenya. We're talking full on protests, tear gas, the whole shebang. So, what's got everyone fired up? Well, it's complicated, but like a good Kenyan stew, it's all about the ingredients. And trust me, this stew, it's got layers. See, Kenya's been simmering for a while now. The government's been throwing in all sorts of stuff into the pot. New taxes, price hikes, you name it. And Kenyans? They've been swallowing it all down, hoping for the best. But you know what happens when you keep adding pressure to a boiling pot? That's right, my friends. Eventually, it explodes. First, the government decided to play with the heat, removing fuel subsidies. Now, I'm no economist, but even I know that messing with fuel prices is like poking a sleeping lion with a really expensive stick. Kenyans grumbled, tightened their belts, but they kept it moving. It's just a phase, they thought. Things will get better. Bless their optimistic hearts. But the government wasn't done. Oh no, they decided to add more fuel to the fire. Literally. They doubled the VAT on fuel. That's right, they doubled down on making sure that getting from point A to point B felt like a luxury. Still, Kenyans persevered. They dug deeper, found ways to make ends meet, all while that simmering pot on the stove kept bubbling. Then came the education squeeze. The government reduced the secondary school fees, capitation. Now, education is key, right? It's the key to a brighter future, to opportunity, to, dare I say it, a better Kenya. But with this move, it felt like that key was being taken away, bit by bit. And the people? They felt the heat. Chapter 4: Empty Stomachs, Empty Promises. Goodbye School Feeding Program. And just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, they scrapped the school feeding program. I mean, come on. You're already squeezing education, and now you're taking food out of the mouths of children. That's not just cold. That's some next level governance right there. But still, Kenyans hoped. They prayed, they held their breath, and the pot kept simmering. Chapter 5: Health Fade Out. No more Edu Afya. Remember that simmering pot? Well, the government decided to crank up the heat even more by removing Edu Afya Care. Now, this program was a lifeline for many, providing essential health care. But poof, gone. It's like they looked at the basic needs of Kenyans and decided to play a game of Jenga with them. Chapter 6: Shocking Bills. The electricity price hike. And as if things weren't tough enough, they decided to jack up electricity costs. Because, you know, who needs affordable electricity when you can have... Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's not like these price hikes were going towards making life better for everyday Kenyans. And then they decided to play with the financial future of Kenyans by removing the loan interest rate cap. Now, I get it, free markets, blah blah blah. But this just felt like they were opening the door for predatory lending, for people to get trapped in a cycle of debt. But Kenyans, they're resilient, they adapted, they found ways to survive. but the pressure was building. And while all this was happening, the government was on a borrowing spree, racking up debt like it was going out of style. And you know what that means? Higher borrowing rates for everyone else. It's like they were throwing a party, maxing out the credit card, and then leaving the bill for the Kenyan people. But it gets worse. The government then decided to play a fun game of let's not pay our bills. Suppliers went unpaid, businesses struggled, and the economy, well, let's just say it wasn't pretty. And as if things couldn't get any more heartless, they even refused to pay hospitals. Hospitals. The places that are supposed to be there for us when we're most vulnerable. It was like a bad joke, only this joke had real life consequences. And let's not forget the elephant in the room, or rather, the herd of elephants' corruption scandals. Everywhere you looked, there was another story of government officials lining their pockets at the expense of the people. It was enough to make you lose faith in, well, everything. Then came the gas price hike. Because cooking at home was simply too affordable. It seemed like the government was determined to make every aspect of daily life a struggle for ordinary Kenyans. Debt and deception, borrowing with no results, and all that borrowing, all that debt. It's not like it was going towards building new schools or hospitals or improving infrastructure. No, it seemed like the money was just disappearing, vanishing into thin air. Living large, government officials on holiday. Meanwhile, government officials were living large, traveling the world, staying in fancy hotels, all on the Kenyan shilling. It was like they were living in a different reality, completely detached from the struggles of the people they were supposed to represent. The house levy, adding insult to injury, and just when you thought they couldn't squeeze another shilling out of the people, they introduced the house levy. That's right, a tax on simply having a roof over your head. Because why not?
And for those young people who had somehow managed to stay in school hoping for a better future, the government had one final slap in the face. They increased university fees. It was like they were saying, education? Nah, that's for the elite, not for the likes of you.
And then came the final straw, the attempt to force the 2024 finance bill. This, my friends, was too much. This bill was like a greatest hits compilation of all the ways the government had failed the Kenyan people.
And that's when the bubble burst. Kenyans, led by the fearless Gen Z, took to the streets. They'd had enough. They were tired of the empty promises, the corruption, the constant struggle.
Look, the situation in Kenya is complex, but one thing is clear. Kenyans have reached their breaking point. They're demanding better from their leaders, and frankly, they deserve it. This isn't just about fuel prices or taxes. It's about dignity, accountability, and a future where everyone has a chance to thrive. What happens next is up to the Kenyan people and their leaders. Will the government listen to the cries of its citizens, or will they continue to prioritize their own interests? One thing's for sure, The world is watching, and the fight for a better Kenya is far from over. Stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay hopeful. Amandla.